Welcome back, all 1,100 of you fellow poker junkies, to another episode. We're doing some traveling again for this one. Let's get right to it. All right, we're back to the airport. This time we are headed to Sacramento instead of Reno, and we got the whole gang. We're gonna go hang out, have a family vacation, and play a little bit of poker while we're in Sacramento. Gonna go see, I think we're gonna go to Graton, maybe meet up with Kacalek, and we'll see what happens. Should be fun. We get into Graton. It's a great facility. I did not give them enough heads up that I was going to try to film there, and so I wasn't able to do so. However, I'm still going to break down some of the best hands from the session with you. We get the ace-jack of clubs from early position. We're playing 3-5 here. Go ahead and open this one up to 20 bucks, and we end up getting 3 callers. So we go to a flop of jack 7-9 with 2 clubs. This is a great board for us. We've got top, we've got the backdoor nut flush draw. Feeling good about our position here. I'm going to go ahead and fire for $40. We would love to see this pot grow and then hit our clubs and get paid. So we're really hoping that a lower flush draw is in there with us. For now, we can extract value from all kinds of worse hands. And so the $40 bet, throw out the $40 a judo chop, and 2 other players hang around. I only get rid of 1 opponent. The turn is the 9 of spades, and I don't really want to slow down on this card. There are going to be some 9s potentially, and I think a check would be fine. I go ahead and bet $125 because I have the redraw and I already have a good hand. I don't want to prevent myself from getting value from worse hands because I'm scared of those few combinations of the 9 exactly. So I go ahead and lead for $125, but this time everyone chooses to fold, and we're able to just scoop up these chips. Ace-Queen offsuit are the weapons we have for the second fight of the night. We've got an opponent who hasn't played. I've been watching the table. Since I'm not filming, I'm much more observant, and I've noticed that this guy is just not opening hands. He's been folding a lot. He's kind of off to the sidelines, sort of playing passively. Seems like he's waiting for a monster. He now raises it up after, I would say, a good 45 minutes of folding, so I'm giving him a lot of credit. I'm out of position with Ace-Queen offsuit, normally a spot that I would prefer to 3-bet, but instead I'm just going to call in this position. So I make the call, and we end up going 3 ways to a flop. The flop actually looks really good for us. Ace of diamonds, 6 of clubs, 9 of clubs. So we've got top pair with a good kicker. I'm going to go ahead and check over to him. I think he's going to have ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, hands like that. We don't necessarily want to try to lead into this. I think we're just going to check call. If he decides to check back, we'll lead the turn. So I go ahead and check, and he ends up making a $20 bet here. So the bet is not enormous. He's betting like a third of the pot. This kind of tends to be a standard play that you'll see a lot at 3-5 games. People will bet the 1/3 and then go to the 60% on the turn. So I'm just going to make the call again. This can still be ace-king in hands that are beating us. If we're ahead, we're probably pretty far ahead. And if we're behind, well, we might end up losing a lot more money if we get aggressive here. So I just make the call. The turn is a queen, and I love this card. I'm going to go ahead and check with the plan to check raise. So I check it over to him. He bets $20 again, so now we're going really small in this one. I raised him up. I check raised him to 75, and I think that's too small of a raise, but I'm getting the sense that his hand is weak, and I want him to stick around and make the call. So I go ahead and make that bet, and he now decides he wants to re-raise. He has $260 left in his stack and makes it $150. This is an easy spot to just jam over the top, so I do, and he snap calls. We go to the river, which is the 8 of clubs. He now asks what we have, not turning his cards over. This is a great sign. I announce that we have top 2, and he rolls over his queen high flush. He had queen 5 of clubs, so I guess he got impatient waiting. He'd been waiting for a long time, folding patiently, and either decided that, hey, I'm going to roll with my image here and just try to make the best of this hand, and just happened to get very fortunate in this spot. So the river bails him out, and he wins a big pot. We got the money in good. I'm not unhappy with the way I played it, though I would like to have raised more on the turn. It ends up working out. We get all the money in anyway. However, I still think a bigger raise on the turn would be more appropriate. All right, that was a pretty good shot. It didn't feel good. Luckily, he was short stacked, so it didn't do a ton of damage to us. So now we're in the low jack. Early position makes a raise to 20. Middle position 3 bets to $60. And I have pocket jacks. I will 4-bet pocket jacks. This is not really the ideal spot for it. The raising range of the under the gun player is typically going to be strong enough to defend a fair amount and even to go to the 5-bet once in a while when they have the aces, kings, queens, etc. They're going to defend fairly often. I've got another player who's excited about his hand. This is just a spot where it can get really messy, so I don't like the 4-bet in this particular position. I end up just making the call. We end up going 4 ways to a flop, which is 10-9-5 with 2 diamonds. This is actually about where we want to be. This is not a bad spot. However, it checks from early position and from the blind, and we end up getting a continuation bet from middle position. He fires $200 into a $240 pot. That is a big bet. If I'm going to stick around with jacks, this is one of those spots where I don't feel like I can get away from it on this particular flop. I've got all undercards. Again, he's going to continuation once in a while with overs. This is multi-way, so ace-king may just choose to check more often. However, I just feel like if I'm going to make the call, this is a flop where I need to call at least one time and see what develops. If the opponent is still really interested multi-way after this flop and the turn card comes out and they continue, then this is a spot where I may have to get away. If he has like ace-king of diamonds, he's going to continue, ace-queen of diamonds, stuff like that. I don't feel like I can just let this one go. So I end up making the call here for $200 and the other 2 opponents get out of the way. The turn is the 3 of diamonds. So a good card for us, and a card where I would expect our opponent to slow down with some of their like aces and kings, things like that that don't include a diamond. There's going to be plenty of hands that don't like this card, and now we have the potential to just check down to showdown, right? So I'm feeling good about this card when it comes out. However, he chooses to bet $425, which is terrible news for us. I don't think we're in any position where we're going to win. If he's not scared of this flush card, again, this can be ace-king of diamonds, ace-queen of diamonds. It can also just be aces with an ace of diamonds, kings with the king of diamonds. Like just a hand that just isn't scared and is ready to just throw all the chips in because they're blocking the flush draw. They've got an overpair. So there's just a lot of things we're losing to here. He's not slowing down, and I don't feel like there's any way we're good. I decide to, after thinking about it for a while, that I just need to let this one go. I fold, and he shows us pocket nines face up on the table. So a little bit unlucky there that he ends up making the set. We actually had him pre-flop. We were in a spot where we kept in a worse hand. However, he improved and got ahead of us. Jacks are a miserable hand to play sometimes. And this is one of those spots. Pocket jacks can be so frustrating, and it kind of drove me crazy, and it motivated me to do this. Salvador, Artificial Poker Intelligence. We learned a little bit from Salvador. There is no right way. Therefore, there's no wrong way, so we can feel a little bit better about that. I go ahead and reload after that one. We're playing in a good game, and I want to try to get money back. I get pocket tens under the gun, and go ahead and raise this one up to $20. Middle position calls, both of the blinds call, and we're going 4 ways to a flop, which comes down jack of hearts, 4 of hearts, deuce of diamonds. So not a bad flop for us, actually. Like, the only thing we're really worried about is a jack. There are multiple opponents, but it goes check, check to me. Now, a lot of players are going to check to the pre-flop aggressor anyway. This is a flop where I think you can check back, but I don't want to just allow things like draws to get there so easily, and I think that this is a fine flop for us. So I'm going to go ahead and continuation bet, try to get rid of some of those drawing hands, and allow us to extract some value, and we're probably going to plan to check a lot of turn cards. So we go ahead and bet $40, and I get one caller who is middle position. The blinds end up making the fold, and we go to the turn. The turn is the ace of clubs. I check, which I was planning to do, and now our opponent in middle position bets $110. Now, to give you some background on this opponent, he's been playing a lot of hands. I've caught him bluffing multiple times and seen him bluffing multiple times and picked him off myself in an earlier hand. So he's definitely capable of bluffing. He's playing way too many hands, and that's requiring him to try to play aggressively and steal some pots post-flop. So I'm not giving him as much credit as I should. Now, I think that clouded my judgment a little bit. Just because I'm playing against that opponent doesn't mean that I need to be calling here on this card. He's going to still have plenty of draws that had an ace in them, right? He can have ace-high heart draws and be happy that this ace of clubs shows up because it now gives him a pair plus the redraw. So I can be potentially calling him when he's way, way ahead of us. Not a great idea, and I think I just got too sticky on the notion of this guy's wild, he could have anything, I should stick around in his hand. I don't like my play. I ran it through a solver later. A solver's calling about 30% of the time with pocket tens against a range that he would be playing. For that reason, I just think this was a mistake, and I think I should have got out of the hand. I end up making the call. We go to the river. The river is the 10 of diamonds. So I stumbled into a beautiful hand. I was planning on hoping to just check down on the river, assuming that he's going to miss a fair amount, and I'd seen him make a bluff attempt, and when he got called, he would just shut down. So I had a pretty good idea that I was going to be able to see a free river and get to showdown. However, he may have blasted again. It might have been a tough spot for us, and we might have had to fold. Now we've stumbled into a good hand. Even though we've made a bad play on the turn, this is a good spot for us to get some money. Now, I can bet into him, but the problem is if he has a lot of bluffs, he's just going to fold those. If he has a decent hand, he might feel like he's pretty good. Like his ace might feel okay. If he's got a good hand, like a two pair, he's also going to be betting those. So I'm allowing him to bet with basically any of his hands. He's got a lot of hands that he's going to be incentivized to bet with. And if I lead out, he's probably going to fold a lot of those hands and then a call with some of his aces and raise us when he has some better stuff. Now, I don't think he has aces and I don't think he has jacks. So I doubt we're behind to that. King, queen of hearts is like the one combination that's really scary here that he could have. So I am a little bit concerned that that could show up, but I'm not going to play scared. My plan is to check raise him and go for the majority of my stack when I have the opportunity. So I check to him. He does oblige and he bets 225. Now, I know that I'm going to check raise him. The question is, do I go for my full stack, which would be appropriate given the SPR, it's pretty close, or do I try to just get that like value bet? I don't know. There's an argument to both sizings, and I debated just jamming it all in. I decided to basically go all in, and I make it 650. He now decides to throw it in for my last 150. That's not a good sign. He may have the king queen, but at this point, there's no way I'm folding for an extra $150. I do make the call, and he shows us this. Brutal spot. Kind of got blindsided by the 3-5 suited. I'm giving him a lot of hands. That's not one. Even most players that are playing wide aren't playing that wide. This is a hand that over the long run he's going to lose a ton of money with. Yes, I made a mistake, and it ends up working out very well for him. However, if you were to play this hand over and over and over again over a huge sample size, you're going to lose a lot of money with it. It makes a lot of like bad two pairs that get counterfeit. It makes low flushes that have terrible reverse implied odds. It's just not a hand you really want to be playing. However, in this instance, occasionally it will get paid really big, and so it feels like it's playable. However, I think this is a mistake on both of our parts. I don't think he should be playing that pre-flop. I don't think I should be calling on the turn. It ends up working out very well for him, and it ends our trip. I'm not going to rebuy. I know that I'm a little bit on tilt here, and I don't want to start punting off extra money. So we take a $1,500 loss on the chin. Oh, all right, we took a thrashing in California. California, you got the best of me this time. I will be back for sweet, sweet vengeance. I'm going to have some more stuff coming your way. Excited to share it with you. I've got some ideas that are a little bit out there, but I think they'll be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to bringing that to you. In the meantime, go crush the table, have a great week, and I will talk to you again soon.